client-server system of application hosting is the most common way to distribute business applications to those who need to use and manipulate the flow of business. We most commonly see a three-tier approach to the client-server system. We first start with the clients, who are going to be the point of sales in our example. They're the ones taking the credit card and handing that information off to the actual server that is going to handle the processing and recording of that data. Those sales transactions are then recorded to a database. For our example, we will take that model and expand upon it to add a e-commerce version of the brick and mortar sales model. But you can see we still have the three-tier approach there. Now, as with any computer system, there are going to be pros and cons, and in the case of the client-server system, we do have several. One of the big pros is the cost. It is typically cheaper to set up a hosted or warehouse environment for your application, where you have a single server communicating with a database and then any number of front-end clients. However, because you do have multiple systems, you do gain an increased complexity as well. This system does work well for performance, but again, because it's more complex, it does introduce more security risks as well. The three-tier client-server model lends itself to being very scalable, but can potentially have a single point of failure, whereas when a single system goes down, all systems will go down. Now, going back to scalability, we can define scalability as the characteristics, the system that allows it to increase and grow as needed. This will increase the performance. This allows us to granularly expand where performance is needed. If we need more database speed, we can increase the databases. We don't have to increase everything across the board. Because the systems can be expanded and increased, this also helps us to overcome those single points of failures by making a system much more fault tolerant. Now, the system will have front-end and back-end. To expand upon that, we're going to divide our example from before into two pieces. We have the front end, which is where our point of sales, as mentioned before, are at, and we also have our web pages that are running HTML and JavaScript. While on the back end, this is where customers cannot see the information. This is protected behind firewalls and various other security mechanisms. This is where our application server, our database server, and the web services such as Apache and PHP are going to live. To expand more on JavaScript and PHP, these are our front-end and back-end web e-commerce languages. JavaScript runs on the client's browser. It is delivered via the HTML web pages. It is a dynamic language. It is not inherently state-aware. It does not maintain sessions. Whenever the page is refreshed, the JavaScript starts over. This JavaScript is typically used primarily for data validation, element manipulation. These are going to give us good data in forms, but it's also going to let us animate and have better looking web pages altogether. Whereas on the back end, we have PHP, which is going to be processed by the web server itself. It is also a dynamic language. It does support sessions. It is aware of a client transitioning from page to page as a single session. And what this does is this lets the data be processed outside of the client's eyes on the back end. It also allows the connections for databases for retention of sales data and what have you. In conclusion, we do know that the client-server model has existed in some form or another for many years, but the internet has changed this. It has brought a new concept of doing business to the client-server system, as all clients are now, or all web browsers are now clients, and all web pages are essentially servers.